Hello, can you hear me? Hello, Aksa, I can't hear you.
Sorry, I think my restarted. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Okay, okay. So I think let's start, and inshallah, as people keep joining in, we will keep letting them in. I would just like to very quickly introduce myself. I am Aksa Tariq, and I am the chapter director for Startup Grind Kashmir, which is a newly set up chapter. So this is our first event, and we are very excited to have here with us Ms. Farzana Yaqoob. Let me tell you a little bit about Startup Grind. So Startup Grind is a startup and entrepreneurship community, which is based which is like a global community, and they have partners and chapters all across the world. And we are very fortunate that in Pakistan, they have been operating for the last couple of years and have built a great impact community. This is the first event that we are doing, and we are thankful to all our partners for this event. Our partners include Scale Up Kashmir, it includes Mirpur University of Science and Technology, it includes LTech, and Ijad Labs. So, for my first note, what I'd like to just do is quickly show you a video, which is by Startup Grind itself.
He's on mute.
All right. So that was just a quick intro. I would now like to, of course, move on to my special guest for today. So Farzana Yaqoob. So this session is basically a fireside chat with Farzana Yaqoob, who is the CEO and founder of Mantak, and she's also a former minister for social welfare and women development, Azad Jammu and Kashmir, and she's also a founding board member at Scale Up Kashmir, which is a newly launched initiative. She is also Senior Associate and General Secretary General of Working Group on Kashmir, Institute of Policy Studies, Islamabad, Pakistan. And to be honest, I think her profile I think is very long and very extensive, and the work that she has done within Kashmir, within Pakistan, I think we will get to hear more about it as we dive deeper into our discussion today. But with that, I would just like to welcome you, Farzana, to our first session. Thank you so much for taking out time. Assalamu alaikum. And let's start with a little bit of background and introduction about yourself.
Walaikum Salam, and thank you so much, Aksa, Scale Up, Startup Grind, and Mirpur University. Really important and key partners, L as well as Ijad Labs. Thank you so much for joining this effort, and I hope that it reaps the benefits that are one is hoping for and wishing for. So, and thank you for having me as the first speaker. Mostly, I'm not the first Kashmiri that comes to mind. So, happy to be here as the first one that came to your mind. So, I'm from Ravlakot, which is a small city in Division Punch. Kashmir has 3 divisions. It has 10 districts. So I'm from the division Punch, and my district is Ravlakot. And but I've lived in Pakistan. I've studied in Karachi and then Islamabad. All my study is local within Pakistan. I've done quite a few courses internationally, but when it comes to degree courses, that is all Pakistan. So, that impression that you will only be able to excel if you have a foreign degree, I don't fit into that. My latest degree is master's, and that is from Allama Iqbal Open University, which is one of the biggest open universities in the world. And my experience in that with that university has been that we actually have really good teachers. It all depends on the student. The course outlines are very outdated, completely understandable, but if if and when you have the desire to learn, you will reach the knowledge that you want to acquire, and then you will be able to synthesize it into wisdom, because knowledge, if it is not wisdom, is not a, does not give you a lot of benefit. So I'm working on the synthesizing part. I'm trying to learn to be wise. As old as I am, I still wish to be wise, but I am just like everyone else, emotional being. And I'm extremely grateful to my co-founders as well, Selena and Essen, for bringing me on board on this really interesting initiative. And the best part that I like of Startup Grind, as well as why it connects with Scale Up Kashmir as well, is that our desire to be able to reach the Kashmiri youth, and to be able to provide a very healthy platform for them to grow and to progress. So that is something that I'm looking forward to.
Farzana, if I were to ask you and ease you into this conversation, you've mentioned, and I've also obviously seen your profile कि आपने बहुत सारा काम बहुत सारी जगहों and institutions, government level, private level. So you've worked in different areas. What has been the best or the most challenging thing, and the most I think सबसे बड़ी आपकी learning is something that I'm really interested in hearing about.
Okay, so my work in private sector has, of course, been more about Kashmir, and post 5th August 2019, just the hyperactivity, and then a complete dead lull to it. Discussing Kashmir, the fact that we hardly have any content on Kashmir, at least like from our side, and then um, to, to do relevant research and that kind of work. But I think most that I have been able to work was as a minister, because when you have power and authority, and if you have the desire to work, then all these add up to make you a very powerful person, and to be able to execute all the plans that you want. So being maybe small hydro projects within very like union councils to schools, to be able to plan for making roads, to be able to plan for schools, and transforming those schools, or setting up universities, not just plan, but within those 5 years to actually be able to execute quite a bit of those plans, and those that were not completed, at least they were put on a fast forward basis, and those works are still going on even though we are not in the government. So that was a huge learning experience, and extremely challenging as well, because we seldom have women who contest elections and win them. So it was not only a learning experience for me, but most probably for my constituents as well, because they were, um, learning how to deal with a female leader. So it's not a one-way process. It's two ways. Everyone was learning how to deal with the opposite gender when it comes to decision making. So as interesting as it was for me, I think it was for others as well.
I were to ask you, आपने थोड़ा सा mention किया about the different work that you've done, but can you describe yourself as a child, as a youngster, and especially because आपने you give a little context about your background and where you really come from or where your family is from, but how has that shaped up who you are as a person today? And yeah, like who's played a big role there? Because what I sense is that you have this sense of giving back to community, and you've mashallah managed to do so with the positions that you've held or with the work that you have done.
Yeah.
But where did
So
that sense come from?
yeah. So Alhamdulillah, I've been extremely privileged all my life, and the people who've made me who and what I am, of course, are my parents. and my father is a bigger than life figure. So he gave us the kind of freedom that people at that time might not have really considered as being appropriate. And so, like, we were taught to decide about our lives at a very young age, because our father did not push us that no, you must do something that I want you to do. He was like, you're free to make your decisions. You can study whatever you want to study. I think that was also because, the wish of making one of the daughters a doctor had been fulfilled by my elder sister. So I had, like, this extra freedom. So I am who I am because of my teachers and my parents. My father made us very brave, very strong human beings. And so, when you have privilege, then you must share the privilege. You must give back, and that is something that was really, really taught to us and ingrained into us by my father. Why? Because we used to live in Karachi, the city of lights, and every year we had to go back to our village where there was no light, where the bathroom was outside the house, and we had to go there, and we had to live there for a good 1 month. And why did we have to do this? Because my father wanted us to know who we really are, where do we come from, and you know from lights to darkness, we must be a convoy to bring those lights to our darkness. And so, in our own small or big way, we've been able to give back to our people, to give back to our land. So, I think all those um, visits, and from one very high tech city to a village, that just made us realize so much that needs to be done. And it just also made us extremely grateful for the privileges that we have, and that is why I share the privilege. We're connected to people. um, we might, I'm not saying that we always do, but we might be able to get more things done than most probably other people can. Then why not use that privilege for the benefit and for helping people? So we do that.
um, Joe, I knew very little about your sense of giving back to community, but it's always interesting to find out what makes that person reach that point. So, as you mentioned, obviously a lot of things in your childhood, a lot of things that you have seen or done while growing up has obviously shaped up, your experiences and also led you into your career mapping. So, just Apnika, you had that freedom, you had that privilege, and one thing that I think, personally in awe of is that you also recognize it. I think a lot of us have a lot of privileges, but very few of us maybe recognize it, so to say. And we don't acknowledge that we are blessed with so many things. And I think that's one important point that you've made that I'd like to really, appreciate. Um, you talked about working in Kashmir in different areas. If you can expand on through different areas of work with Scale Up Kashmir, as you were initially mentioning, what are your ideas, and what is it that you think, because आपने कहा कि you've been going there for years, obviously you are closely linked to your community, but what is it that's one or two things that you really want to, like, immediately, in your capacity, change or bring to that area, which you think is going to be obviously beneficial for a society at large, and also because you mentioned the youth.
Yes. So I don't know if I would use the word change, because, like, everyone wants the daily.
Sounds very political.
So I would say that no, I would want to be the conduit that can provide opportunity. Change is what every person will bring by themselves, within themselves, and so uh, within their circles. Change is your choice. No one makes that choice to you. What we can do is provide you the opportunity to be able to choose. And so, Scale Up Kashmir is so close to my heart, because one, um, we have, like, for example, our partner for Startup Grind is Must University. It is one of the best universities in Kashmir, and we have really bright youngsters who are studying over there, who have their aspirations and dreams. Mostly, when I meet youngsters, uh, I see that they're looking towards government jobs or jobs within private sector. The pain point is that there aren't enough jobs. We need to switch that thought from working for others to working for yourself. When you're in a job, you're earning. Your earnings are confirmed and secure, so there is no risk that at the end of the month you will not have the number that you're looking forward to. So that's a very safe kind of place that you place yourself in. On the other hand, an entrepreneur, a business person, lives a very risky life, but they're used to it, and so they don't feel the risk. A salaried person is, is taking care of himself and his family. A business person is taking care of a number of families. That's the switch we need to make. We need to start thinking more about other people. My father has also been an extremely successful businessman. And in that too, what he has taught us is that, making money should not be priority. Your priority should be to get as many people engaged in your work as you can, because the day their houses start functioning properly, when their needs are met, you will automatically get really double and triple returns. So think about the number of people that you can bring on board with you. And so that is how scale up completely fits into what we've been taught. Like, you don't need to have huge number of profit, but you do need to have a lot of people that you can share with. तो थोड़ा थोड़ा पैसा करके ज्यादा बन जाता है, बजाय इसके कि एक ही दफा छक्का लगाकर आप ज्यादा पैसा बनाएं और कम लोगों को उसमें इन्वॉल्व करें. That's what we've been taught throughout our life by my father, and he is very in these things he's very strict and strong, that you must think about others. You don't need to think about yourself. Allah is there for you. You must think of others.
Even before Scale Up Kashmir, I know that you have been an entrepreneur for a while now, and with your work at uh, tell me, what's been your biggest, I would say, learning experience being an entrepreneur? You did mention a few things like, first being a woman, being in that leadership position. So all of those, keeping all of those factors in mind, but you of course had that support from your family, and your own support system was strong. And I think maybe that's how you survived or made it this far, because not everyone, like you said, is that lucky to do so. Yeah, so tell us about that.
So before I became a politician, I was a housewife. But before that, I was a businesswoman. My brothers were studying, so I was taking care of my father's business. So at a very young age, I had the opportunity to take care of hotels and factories and whatever my
Wow.
father had that
Wow.
moment. So that is why the learning that you must take care of other people and you will be taken care of automatically. If your employees are happy with you, your business will grow. And that is the ethos that we want to take forward in this age of technology, where everyone is they have the opportunity to start their own businesses, to not just have ideas but to be able to execute those ideas, to be able to make those ideas grow and make them into businesses, be it small or big. But this is a huge opportunity which was not present previously, and technology has helped people in becoming braver, in becoming smarter, in making things easier for them. There is so much knowledge out there, but since knowledge can be put online and wisdom cannot be put online, so that is why we're waiting for that knowledge to become a system and for people to actually be successful. Success too has different meanings for different people. For some people it is monetary, for some people it is spiritual, for some people it could be anything else. So for example, I mean, hopefully, if there are a few students listening into our discussion, I was studying to become a chartered accountant, and I was a trainee in one of the best firms, Ferguson, and I completed 3 years. I am a CA intern, and then I left it because after 3 years, I felt like this is just not me. I could not do that anymore. I could have been a chartered accountant. So I consider that as a failure which taught me a lot. It taught me a lot that, like, your system tells you uh, what you can do and what you can't. Your culture pushes you towards doing what your system is telling you can't. And you do, you compromise your wishes, you compromise your dreams, and you believe you can do it. But if you're not happy, seriously, if you're not happy, be brave. Try to find your peace and happiness. Do something that will make you happy. And here again is the privilege that because I could afford to do it, I did it. Not everyone can afford to do it. So either whatever you're doing, learn to be satisfied with what you're doing at the moment. And if you can't, then try to do that which satisfies you.
One of my next questions was going to be if you were not in this field, what would you have done? But I think you've already sort of answered that because I think you were going for something else, and this is the backup field, but it actually turned out to be a real one. So so interesting. But yeah, is there anything, because obviously you still have a large part of your career ahead of you. What is it that you see yourself doing in the next 5 to 10 years?
Hmm. In
Whether
this
it's
day,
politics, whether it's business, whether it's even like personal development, anything really.
yeah, in this day and age, it is so difficult to like plan even for a year with the kind of disruptions that are going on. So 5 to 10 years, I don't know if there is a new kind of corona. I'm not really sure I'm moving anywhere. I could be sitting right here, a lot more older than I am at the moment. Uh, so my children are growing. I would like to see them as strong, humble human beings. That is something that I would want to see them as healthy people who can share their privilege as much as I am, even more so. So that is a responsibility that I have, and I hope that I will be able to fulfill it as well as I can, just like my parents did for me. That is a personal mission statement. And as for work, at the moment, I would like to see how Scale Up grows. I'm really excited for it to grow up, and let's see how we're able to connect with our youngsters and what their success is something that I'm looking forward to. We will be providing the platform where they can be groomed. They will be connected with people who could invest into them, and their success is something that I'm really looking forward to. So I hope that if within these 10 years, and I'm not going to mention unicorn because that will be a personal effort of whoever is able to achieve that level. But if Scale Up Kashmir is able to just change, uh, um, to start the process of rethinking, reimagining a future of one's own self and of the community, I believe that that would be a huge success for Scale Up Kashmir. And at the moment we are struggling a lot, one because of the geographical territory that Kashmir is, and also the fact that we don't really get a lot of private business people interested in investing in Kashmir. So it is we, the Kashmiris, it is our youth who will have to take up this mission of developing Kashmir, of progressing not only themselves but giving back to the land, and making this place a better place for us and for everyone else.
Thank you. So, my next question was going to be on, what are the challenges and opportunities, considering, of course, आपने भी mentioned किया कि, the geopolitical and the economic landscape of the region, where there are a lot of challenges. There are also a plethora of opportunities because it's an untouched sort of area. The youth also, I think they are ready to receive, they are ready to take in what the industry or what people like yourselves are willing to give back. How do you see that as a big opportunity, and what's your go-to strategy for that?
So there's so much within Kashmir that has not been seen. that is mostly not understood. So this can be an opportunity for presenting Kashmir not just as a conflict and a problem, but as a benefit, as an asset. And who better can do that than the people of Kashmir themselves? The youth are the best ambassadors ever. So they can really showcase Kashmir better than we have ever been able to. So, when it comes to tourism, Kashmir tends to be at the top of the list. But then there are other things. We have really special herbs. Our flora and fauna is very special. To be able to take care of that and to be able to protect Kashmir, our landscape, our plants, our animals, the ecosystem, to be able to protect our ecosystem and environment, to be sustainable and to be able to grow. That is, I think, a challenge as well as an opportunity. And so we must be very conscious and cautious while we're stepping forward towards the dream of progress that we're looking forward to, that our progress must not be such that we lose the characteristic of our people and of our land, to be able to preserve them and to be able to improve our own lives. Now that is going to be a challenge for the youngsters, and that could be something that we will be looking forward at. Scale up Kashmir, that how do you solve problems in such a manner that you don't actually create more problems while solving one problem. uh, so yes, that is something I'm looking forward to.
So the last question from my end before we start with the Q&A with the participants here is, what would you like your legacy to be, as an individual, as someone who's worked in this industry, someone who wants to give back to the Kashmiri community?
So people are really interested in legacy. In all honesty, I am not interested in legacy. I just want to do my two bit and move on. There will always be people who are better than me, and I hope there will be people who are better than me, who do more than me, who can take not only Kashmir but Pakistan to the heights that we have not been able to do. So no legacies. It's okay if I'm not remembered, but I'll be happy wherever I am to see people living a better life. For me, that is more important.
Very humble of you. Anything else you would like to add before we move on to the Q&A part?
Um, well, specifically to the Kashmiri youth, we don't have a lot of opportunities, and so there is a lot of despair. And I always say this to not only myself but to all the Kashmiris, that we cannot survive if we despair or if we lose hope. The only way to survive in difficult times is to aspire and to hope for a better life. And so we must never give up. We must never give up on our dreams, because it is the dreams that provide us with the oxygen of freedom and peace. Otherwise, we would actually die, because the kind of circumstances that we have in Kashmir are extremely painful. So it is only the imagination and dreams that provide the space for us to survive.
Thank you very much. To all the attendees here, we are just opening up the Q&A. If there are any questions, please type them in the box here, and we will be taking them one by one. Once again, for this session, I'd like to especially thank Taimur Saab for all his cooperation from MUST, and the students who are present here as well.
Yeah, we should have them more add a few words.
Absolutely.
I mean, I tell you, Kashmir is always, creating news. So, Taimur, you should say a few words.
Ji Taimur Saab, do we have you here?
Assalamu alaikum. It was So nice to hear words from a young leader like Madam Farzana Yaqoob, and thank you, Madam Aksa Tariq, for taking us up as your partner. And it was really an honor to be partner with Startup Grind. Uh, about Madam Farzana Yaqoob, Madam, it was such an enriching talk about gender participation in AJK and your experiences. Um, while you were minister in the government of Azad Jammu and Kashmir. Was just texting with my students as well, and even they enjoyed this session with your good self, and they would be asking you a few questions as well. Let's see if they have come. No, they have not come up with any question and answer as of now. But let's see what enriching questions they have posed for your good self. Thank you so very much. And looking forward, like in the email we said, we would be working for many other collaborations. So we would be working on those collaborations together as well. Thank you so very much, Madam, and thank you so very much, Madam Aksa Tariq.
Thank you.
Students, we are waiting for your questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Taimur. And so this is what I really like when you have young people progressing and you're becoming leaders within their own professions, and it's so much easier to connect and for the students as well to aspire that if someone at this age has done so much, so others can also follow in their footsteps, and really happy
Exactly,
for this.
exactly. Especially when it is about a young leader like you, they can relate to it as well. They can relate to it as well because students they happen to be they are so much fond of being leaders,
I know.
especially in Kashmir. So this is
See,
what
when,
I'm
when
observing.
तैमूर को लीडर बना रही हूँ, तैमूर मुझे लीडर बना रहा है. Do you see how the hood works?
Wow, I'm humbled. I'm humbled anyway. I'm humbled anyway.
No, thank you, Taimur Saab. I think it's great the work that you are doing, and especially because, as Farzana also mentioned, we are always looking for people who are actually on the ground making that difference. So anything that we do as Startup Grind or they do as Scale Up Kashmir, it will only be effective if we have people like you who are really out there in the field making it happen. So it's always, I think, and I think that's one motto at even at Startup Grind, that it's always collaboration. It's always, even this event has been put together in collaboration, and that's just the way forward. I think the one thing that everyone has realized, especially COVID ke dauran, I think sabko zyada ye realize hua hai ki until and unless everyone is working together, nothing is going to be effective, because there is something that I can bring to the table. There is something that Farzana can bring to the table, and there's something that you can bring as an individual, and the capacity and our capacity as working professionals also. So I think that way our synergies need to match, and inshallah, I think if we have the right intention, then we will do good things together.
I truly and completely agree with you, and it was a great tap on my back. It has literally increased my potential to work on the field, as you said, because I am directly concerned with my students, and seeing them every day gives me another level of the energy. Thank you so very much, and I would definitely take it as a powerful tap on my back, pat pat
Also,
on my back. Yeah.
yes, it is, and it is so important for people, for like-minded people to be working on different projects together, because that just makes you grow stronger, and it actually helps you in growing. If like-minded people are not working together and you have difference of opinion, it becomes very difficult to grow. So it, and then Scale Up Kashmir is of course an initiative where technology will be involved, technology related solutions. So Mirpur University is a place that has been playing a very important role in sharing and inculcating uh, the
True.
the knowledge that is required at this point of time for our youth to progress. So these are such important things which you don't need the government to do everything. Even
Exactly.
individuals can make a lot of difference. And like I acknowledge that it is my parents and my teachers who've made me what I am. So then it's
True.
the same for you as well, Demo, because you are in the best of the profession. Being a teacher, you're grooming and you're actually nurturing the future of uh, not only Kashmir but Pakistan. So it's a huge privilege, and I hope that the students progress, and their progress and success is what is at the end of the day the desired goal.
Exactly. That's so true, and I completely agree with you. So there is a question, but before that question is posed in front of you, I want to pose my question. And and the question is about the glass ceiling effect, because I'm teaching gender studies as well to my students, and most of the participants are from the subject of gender studies. It's an optional subject in the course. Anyway, coming on the glass ceiling effect, being in the government, being at a prime position in AJK, how did you see the time you were minister? How did you see glass ceiling effect, or being a woman? How did it bar you, if it did? How did it bar you to progress the way others were progressing?
In all honesty, I don't feel that Kashmir has these issues as much as other parts of Pakistan might have, other provinces. Kashmiris are very educated, and like people do not stop their daughters from getting an education. They also don't stop them from working. Mostly it was parents of daughters who would be asking us to find jobs to get their daughters into schools, universities, and really brothers and fathers would come to us that my daughter is this educated, she's done a master's, MPhil, and she's applying for this job, please help us for this. So I believe that I did not, from that point of view, I did not face that gender bias that one expects, or maybe people might have felt. Yes, there is a slight. For example, I'll share a very
Right. Sure.
interesting event. So in the assembly, there was just maybe one or two washrooms for women. And one day, while the session was going on, I went out and there was a man who was using the women's washroom. Apparently, that was an okay thing to do. And I created a lot of noise. I was like, what the hell is going on? Why is there a man in this washroom? And log jama ho gaye.
Hmm.
And I created a scene.
So you don't.
Apparently,
So
first time.
you don't allow people in your personal space.
It wasn't just for me, it was for other women as well.
Exactly. Yes.
That was another thing. The one, don't be afraid to call a wrong thing just because you're a woman. I've seen this in women that they put up with a lot more nonsense than they need to. One doesn't need to be rude. बदतमीजी की कोई ज़रूरत नहीं होती, लेकिन जहाँ पर कुछ गलत हो रहा है उसके बारे में कहें, क्योंकि हो सकता है दूसरे लोग डर रहे हो, दूसरी औरतें डर रही हो, आप ना डरें। अगर आप निडर होती हैं, आप बहादुर होती हैं, तो फिर दूसरों को भी हौसला होता है, वो भी फिर जो है ना चांस लेते हैं थोड़ा सा बहादुर होने का। women like me, and I always say this and I acknowledge once again the privilege that I've been saying, women like me have opened doors. We do that in the hope and expectation that women who are coming after us, the girls, the females who are coming after us, will have an easier path. When people say that ये politics में सिर्फ अमीर लोग होते हैं, ये वो, और politics is a very difficult profession. You need money, you need time, and you need your family to support you to be able to progress in this profession. It is not an easy job. And if I did not have all that I have, if I did not have all the support of the people that I did, I would not be able to achieve anything. I would be struggling just to make my ends meet. So it is the people who helped me out. And so, me being brave is not because I am personally brave. No, my people made me brave. My constituents actually made me brave. The people who voted for me, the people who believe in me, they're the ones who make me brave. And so it is when 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 you are in a position of power, you have so much more responsibility than people who are not in a position of power or who do not enjoy that privilege. So the responsibility to create an ease of entering into any profession for women was something that I tried to do. I wasn't very a loud person. I don't remembering the current bureaucratic episodes that we're seeing. I don't remember doing that. Hopefully, I did not do that. But yes, um, I think what I did uh, try to do was that one, don't be afraid of saying no. Perfectly fine. Don't compromise too much
Mm.
just because you're a woman. And you know, be with people who help you in becoming a better person, and who make you a stronger person. So the people who work with me, for example, the bureaucrats within my ministry were extremely helpful and kind. I mean, actually, everyone was really nice to me. I did not have any such issues that couldn't be resolved.
Mm.
Sometimes I was hot headed, sometimes the counterpart was hot headed, but that's life, you do get emotional. So I think I was too privileged. I didn't have that, कि वो bias हुआ है, bias करने की शायद किसी ने जरूरत बेचारे ने की मेरे सामने। तो मेरे ये प्रॉब्लम नहीं फेस की। हाँ, बाद में मैंने की, उससे पहले मैंने की है, बट एज अ मिनिस्टर आई डिड।
All right. So,
So we have
another
uh,
no,
uh,
another thing. One last question from my side before
sure.
we break off. All right. So it was that I, along with my students, we want to know about the initiatives that you have taken in your time for the development of women, because your ministry had got to do with women as well.
Yeah.
So, what were the initiatives that you think that you consider were of the difference or did make difference? We want to know about those initiatives, a few of them.
Yeah. So, as a legislator, the first and the foremost, most important work is to bring in legislations to improve them or to bring in new if there is a gap. So, development का तो मैंने बहुत काम किया, वो तो uh, अलग. But just the fact that we were able to increase, to bring to table a few laws where it, harassment at working place and domestic violence, these two laws I believe were something that are still very close to my heart, because we did not only table these laws. The beautiful part was that no one was against them. Opposition as well as the government, the treasury benches together voted them. No one opposed it. I think that was the beauty, and this is where people need to appreciate the open-mindedness of Kashmiri people, men and women as well. You should see the proceedings in other parliaments of of different provinces, and how difficult it is to table and then to pass laws which um, which have anything to do with women rights. So this is something that I always appreciate and cherish, the fact that unanimously approved, and then to be able to execute it, it takes time. So just the fact that we were able to engage all the other ministries to build their capacity and understanding, how to manage sexual harassment cases and what can be done, and also having this discussion. Just the fact that to be able to talk about this is such a taboo, and we shared our initiatives on radio so that people could speak about them. Also, something else that we did was work on. Um, what do you call it? Yeah, um, drug rehabilitation. That too is growing so much in Kashmir, and that is because lack of opportunities creates despair, and that is why I said that please do not despair. You must remain hopeful. So this affliction of drug abuse is increasing. So we started a small project where rehabilitation center was set up within Muzaffarabad, The beauty is not just the fact that rehabilitation center was set up, but the important part was that while we were working towards it, the community members that we spoke to or who we wanted to bring on board. And so, from the religious leader to the political leader, everyone was brought on board. And so, it is extremely important that, now I say that we're shunning the religious leadership. Whether you like them or not, they have a lot of power. They have the access to the pulpit that you or I don't have all the time. We need to respect them, good or bad. We need to respect them. We need to bring them on board, and only then can we be successful in bringing an actual change within our society. So these might sound like not very important initiatives, but the more these laws are practiced, you know, the more they're taken into courts. Laws are living creatures. The more they're exercised in practice, the more they grow, because the understanding grows. The different judgments also create uh, more information as to how the law can be used again and again in different ways and manners. So I hope that, like, people will be brave enough to uh, stop harassment, to be able to file cases. And it is very painful to file a case and then to go to the courts and to share that story or the stories of how you have been abused. It's a very painful process, so we get very, very few cases. uh, so what we need to do is change the mindset of stopping abuse, instead of working towards implementation of the punishment. um, Punishments are seldom uh, a motive of change. They are they motivate people to stop, but they don't change. So these two are some initiatives which are very close to my heart. Other than that, like, um, uh, interest-free loans for women, but then giving them financial literacy so that they could apply for those loans. So AJK Bank and UN Women, we had this scheme as well, and so it was such a great learning experience. And always it has been that when you give loans to women, they give back. The return rate is almost 99.9%. They are such good uh, at returning, but women are risk averse. They don't like taking loans. So it is really difficult to to create this balance, that here's an opportunity for you to grow, and we'll give you this much money for whatever you want, and then you have to give back. So as much as the growth incentive is attractive, but women are risk averse. So it's a very slow process to change that mindset, that it's okay, you can grow with someone else's money and not just your own. So it's these initiatives which are stepping stones for people to then grow, not just themselves, but these interventions as well. So that's a little bit that I did when it comes to the ministry.
That's definitely not a little bit. That's a bit too much. All right, Madam Aksa Tariq, if you could please summarize questions of my students.
Absolutely.
To Madam.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you. So the first question we received was from Hisham Mean, and he said, "I have heard a lot of people talking about success habits. What are your success habits, and what is the best advice you can give to someone who is trying to, I think, shape his or her habits?" Is what he means here.
Oh my God, I'm such a wrong person to ask that question. I'm the go with the flow person. But no, जो मैं अपने बच्चों को कहती हूँ, यार शेड्यूल बनाओ और अपनी टाइमिंग सेट करो, एंड नथिंग वर्क्स एज वेल एज योर 5 prayers. जैसे वो आपका शेड्यूल बनाती हैं और आपकी जो टाइमिंग सेट करती है ना, nothing works as well as that. So a very religious response to your question, but yeah, set your timetable and follow it religiously. You will be successful. I guarantee that. कि परसों, मतलब यानी कि साल के एंड में इम्तिहान है, आज से पढ़ो, कसम से पास हो जाओगे, you know. 2 साल के बाद अगर कुछ करना है, कुछ अचीव करना है, तो उसकी मेहनत आज से करनी है, उसके करीब जाके मेहनत नहीं करनी है. एंड प्लीज रिमेंबर, ये बिल गेट्स एंड स्टीव जॉब्स, दीज गाइज हैव वर्कड अ लॉट, बहुत मेहनत की है, तब जाकर देर बिलियनर्स. यहाँ पर ये लग रहा है कि बस ये कुछ बनाया, फट एप्लीकेशन बनाई और वो उधर चली और बिलियन डाउनलोड हुए और बस अरबपति बन गए. अबे यार, अरबपति बनने से पहले इंसान बन जाएंगे, इंसान बने अरबपति भी बन जाएंगे, but that will take time or and passion and a lot of hard work. So there are no shortcuts to success. Schedule yourself and be ready to accept the reality. There is no shortcut to success. You gotta work.
So he's also asked if there was one thing you could do one thing you could do differently if you were to start all over again. What would it be?
यार वो जो साल के एंड में इम्तिहान हो ना, उसका आज से पढ़ना शुरू कर लेती. I was really bad at practicing में करी हूँ.
So all the advice that you have given, basically, you should follow it.
हाँ नहीं, मैंने बाद में फिर मैंने बाद में फॉलो किया कि यार ये गलती नहीं करनी, लेकिन मैं इसे बता रही हूँ कि यार ये टाइम से काम कर लिया करें. डोंट लीव इट फॉर द लास्ट मोमेंट. समटाइम्स यू डोंट गेट द लास्ट.
So we also have a very interesting question from Iman Talat, and she says, "Ma'am, whenever I think about change in our society, it always seems very slow, difficult, and even a scary process. How should I deal with such fears and keep going?" And I think a lot of our youth sort of struggle.
Yeah, so change, healthy change is always slow. We're up, so we're like, this generation, mobile generation, ठक आपने कुछ लिखा और फौरन से आपको जवाब आया. We're so used to speed. The speed is only electronic and technical. Life has not increased its speed. 1 साल का बच्चा 2 साल में 20 साल का नहीं हो रहा, वो 20 साल में ही 20 साल का हो रहा. So the physical and mental speed is natural. This is something that we have created. So this false impression of speed is something that really messes up our brains. In all honesty, I've seen it. I myself struggle with it. As I said, there is no shortcut to success. The best and sustainable change is always slow. Why? Because human beings require time to adjust into new environment. They require time to acquire new habits and to be able to carry on with those habits. So it is good that the change is slow. Sudden changes are mostly brought about by something painful. For example, COVID is a sudden change. Okay, wars are a sudden change which changed the history. Sudden changes are seldom good. It's the slow growth process, the natural process of growing, of becoming bigger and better, like a tree, like a human being. So it is actually, don't struggle with it, accept it. It is the way it is. You're not a mobile, you're a human being.
We have a next question, which is when we talk about women empowerment, what is your opinion on the wage gap between men and women? And very interestingly, I think it's asked by a male member of the team.
It's a world renowned phenomena that women get paid less than men, and so it must be addressed. Gender should not be the basis for wages. It is the work that is done. So equal wages, totally for it. I think if you, for example, look at the government, क्योंकि कश्मीर में तो है ही सरकारी नौकरी एट द मोमेंट जिसको आप चेक कर सकते हैं, तो वहाँ पर ग्रेड्स की सैलरीज होती हैं, जेंडर की सैलरी नहीं होती. That is something that needs to be replicated everywhere else. That performance based remuneration होनी चाहिए. It shouldn't be based on your gender. So that is something that the world is working on. We need to work on it as well. इसमें कोई दो राय नहीं है. And wherever, as a man or a woman, where you see a disparity, point it out and try to fix it. If you can't fix it, at least point it out, or just discuss it amongst your friends or your close circle, because you might not be able to change something that is wrong, but if you are able to discuss it, most probably that discussion will come up with a solution and most probably that solution could reach to someone who can actually fix that issue. So please do discuss the issues that you see. It is extremely important. You are not responsible for solving the world's problems, but you are responsible for discussing and trying to look for solutions. You might not be the person who will be implementing those solutions, someone else will.
Thank you very much. I think that's the end of our Q&A. We don't have any more questions. Actually, sorry, we did just get one. It says, what would you say about some of the religious groups' personalities teaching people that women fighting for their rights, working with men, or simply seen in a march, trying to grow are wrong and deserve some punishment, etc.?
Could you sort of read it slowly?
Sorry. So it says, what would you say about some of the religious groups' personalities teaching people that women fighting for their rights, working with men, or simply seen in a march, trying to grow are wrong and deserve some punishment, etc.?
This is their personal thought, and it happens in not just Pakistan, but subcontinent is very prone to fan following of religious leaders, and whether they are saying right or not does not matter. In such circumstances, especially, one should avoid confrontation. You see, we all have our own ideas and thoughts. When we're discussing, we're not there to defeat the person who you're having discussion with. We're there just to share our ideas. Now, if the other person does not accept your ideas, there is no need to get angry or vexed about it. All you need to do is keep on doing what you do. And it's the same when it comes to religious gatherings and religious, so-called religious leaders. If the current example, if you do try to stop them, for example, what the incident of TLP and Saad Rizvi, and you know how the government tackled it. When the government was not tackling it, people had issues and they were like, oh my god, देखो सब खुला छोड़ दिया, पाकिस्तान तबाह हो रहा है. When they did tackle it, उफल्ला इतना जुल्म कर दिया. तो मसला ये कि हमने तो हर बात को मसला बनाना है और हमने किसी बात पर खुश नहीं होना है. वो जो कर रहे हैं वो कर रहे हैं ना. Are they stopping? No, they are talking about it. This goes back to what I mentioned before your question. You do need to talk about it in your own safe havens. You must talk about how our society is going wrong, where is it going wrong, and how we within our own circles of influence can fix these issues. Start slow, start with smaller steps. दुनिया फतह करने के लिए ना निकला करें रोजाना सुबह. पता है, अपना काम पूरा करके घर वापस आने की जो है ना नियत करके निकला करेंगे. आज मेरा ये काम है, मैंने ये सारा काम करना है, मैंने कल पे नहीं छोड़ना, मैंने किसी और के सर पर नहीं डालना अपना काम. I am going to be the best of me today. We all need to do that. I tell you, we will be the best nation on this in this earth if all of us say this to ourselves and actually do it every day. I'm going to be the best of myself today.
I think this summarizes, the conversation we've had today. That really all we have in our control is just ourselves right now, right here. And I think the last 1 year, जो हम सब ने देखा है, we've witnessed as a world, as a community together. It's that all we have is right now. So what you can do with right now, with whatever you have in hand, is all you've got. So अगर जो चीज, I think one of the questions that the students asked here was that what can we do? It's just that, conquer today, conquer right now. Don't think about, oh, and like you said, when I asked you about 5 to 10 years, you were like, okay, no one can look that far beyond, and that's exactly what I think we've been taught in places, in our religion and other things, that all you have is right now. Don't look at the back, don't look at the front, but just do what you have in hand right now. Any closing comments from your end before we wrap this up?
Thank you so much, Taimur and Aksa, and all the partners. I won't be naming them again, but thank you so much. I really enjoyed this conversation, and to the students or youngsters or anyone who joined us, all I want to say is that all we have is ourselves. Be a good person. All the religions tell you who or what is a good person. Even those people who do not follow any religion, they also are told what and who is a good person. Just be that. Just be that. And you will be successful. The community will be successful. The country will be successful. It's not a very difficult job. Be good. Be good to yourself and be good to others.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you very much, Farzana. And that brings us to the end of our first and our inaugural session for Startup Grind Kashmir. We are very grateful to all our partners who've partnered with us to bringing or producing this event together, which includes Scale Up Kashmir, it includes Mirpur University of Science and Technology, LTech, and the JAD Labs. Thank you once again to our speaker for today, Ms. Farzana Yaqoob. She can be reached out, I think, I believe on LinkedIn. I think that's the best way to reach her if you need to. That's it from my side. Once again, join the chapter if you wish. The link that you had for registration, you can become a part of the Startup Grind community in Kashmir, and hopefully, inshallah, we will continue to bring you great speakers like her, great community resources, people who are willing to give back to community. Because at Startup Grind, our sense of community, of giving back is really strong, and I hope that we can cultivate that within this chapter as well. So thank you once again, and Allah Hafiz.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Hafiz.